When I got the offer to transfer to Chicago, it felt like everything was finally aligning. The job came with a relocation bonus and a discounted lease in a newly converted residential building. It was an old office tower, now retrofitted into apartments. Modern loft-style living, the brochure promised. My unit was on the 17th floor, 1707, the last door at the far end of the hallway. When I asked about the other units on my floor, the leasing agent shrugged and said most were still vacant under renovation. The building itself felt like a relic from the late 70s. Green-tinted windows, dull concrete exterior, and a slow elevator that groaned with every stop. But inside my apartment, everything was polished. Hardwood floors, updated kitchen, huge windows overlooking the city. I moved in without incident, grateful for the silence. On the third night, I woke to an odd glow. At first, I thought it was a fire truck down on the street, but the light was too rhythmic, pulsing like a heartbeat. Red light leaked through the narrow gap beneath my door. I approached cautiously, opened it. Nothing. The hallway was dark and silent. No glow, no sirens, just an emptiness that made my skin crawl. It became a pattern. Every night, precisely at 3:12 a.m., the red light returned. Always the same rhythm. Blink, blink, blink. I left my phone camera on one night, pointed at the door. The next morning, I reviewed the footage. The red glow appeared on schedule. And then, for exactly 6 seconds, the camera froze. When the feed resumed, a faint whisper echoed on the recording. Burn! I was shaken. I tried to rationalize it. Faulty hallway lights? A motion sensor? But nothing made sense. Maintenance said there were no lights in that hallway at all. They even sent someone to inspect, but he refused to go to the 17th floor. We don't maintain that level directly, he said. Contractors only. That night, I stayed up. This time, I didn't record. I watched through the peephole. At 3:12 a.m., the glow returned. Red. Pulsing. But what shook me wasn't the light. It was the movement. A shape, slow, human-like, glided down the hall and stopped in front of my door. I didn't breathe. My heart pounded. The shape didn't knock, didn't move. It just stood there. I had to know what was going on. The next day, I explored the hallway. Most doors were sealed. Plastic sheeting, padlocks, even rusted chains. Only one other unit looked like it had been used recently. 1704. I knocked. No answer. But I could swear I heard someone moving inside. That night, I left a sticky note on their door. Hi. I think we're the only two living here. Want to connect? The note vanished by morning. In its place, someone had etched a message into the wood. I see you. I called management. They told me there were no active leases on that floor besides mine. You must be mistaken, the rep said. Unit 1704 is unoccupied. It was damaged in a fire years ago. I stared at the door again that night. At 3:12, the red glow reappeared. This time, it wasn't under my door. It was under 1704's, pulsing, brighter than before. Then, the doorknob turned, slowly, deliberately. I ran back into my unit, slammed the door, locked every bolt I had. Something knocked once, hard. Then silence. I woke to a smoky smell. It was faint, like the aftermath of a candle burning too long. I checked every corner of the apartment. Nothing. But when I reached the bathroom, I froze. Across the mirror, in what looked like soot or ash, a handprint had been smeared. A large, charred hand. The print faded when I tried to wipe it, like it had sunk into the glass. Then came the dreams. Always fire. Screams. A woman banging against a metal door, and flames swallowing the hallway. I'd wake up drenched in sweat, the word burn echoing in my head like an earworm. Once, I dreamed of looking into a mirror only to see the woman behind me, her skin blackened, her eyes hollow, the same red light flickering behind her. I finally confronted the building manager. He hesitated before saying, 1704 was the origin of the fire in 98. An employee named Loretta stayed late and died trapped in her office. After that, no one wanted that floor. We converted it for storage. But you're the only one who insisted on 1707. I never insisted. They assigned it to me. Digging deeper, I found an article in the archives about the fire. Loretta Miles, office manager, 43, died in an electrical fire that started in her unit. No one knew she was working late that night. When they found her, she'd clawed the door so violently, her nails embedded in the wood. Firefighters reported strange things, lights failing, doors refusing to open. One even claimed he saw a woman at the window after the building had been cleared. Like she was still trying to get out, he said. I scoured forums and found a post from someone who lived in 1707 years ago. It read, "If you're on 17, get out. She comes when the light blinks. Don't answer the door. Don't listen when she whispers your name." My hands trembled. That night, I packed a bag, but the elevator refused to move. Every button lit up except 17. My phone battery drained within minutes. I was trapped. And at exactly 3:12 a.m., the red glow returned. My lights flickered. Smoke seeped from the vents. And then came the voice, faint and raspy. "You see me now." The temperature dropped rapidly. The walls creaked. The hallway lights outside blinked in rhythm with the red pulse. My peephole filled with darkness. Then, a face. Burned, eyeless, and smiling. I barricaded my door, hid in the bathroom, but the lights in there flickered too. In the mirror, she stood behind me again. "Join me," she whispered. I had two choices: jump from the 17th floor window or face her. In the end, I didn't jump. I screamed until security broke the door. When they found me, the apartment was filled with smoke, but there was no fire, no damage, just ash spread across the hallway in the shape of a woman's silhouette. I moved out the next day. I still dream of her. I still see the red pulse now and then in reflections. And when I asked a friend who still lives in the building if anyone's taken 1707 since, he replied, "There is no 17th floor in this building. After the fire, they sealed it. Didn't you know?" The old farmhouse had been in our family for generations. My parents never liked staying there, said it never felt right. So when Grandma passed away and I was asked to clean it up alone for the realtor, I expected nothing more than some dust, cobwebs, and maybe a few mice. That was all. But from the first night I slept there, I knew something was wrong. I kept hearing noises. Not outside, but inside the walls. Scratches, low scraping, sometimes faint knocking. At first I blamed squirrels or maybe raccoons nesting in the attic, but the sounds followed me. I'd walk into the kitchen, silence. I'd sit at the dining table, knock, knock, from the wall behind me. It was almost like the walls were breathing, listening. And every time I walked past the small hallway near the staircase, I felt a chill, like the air had been sucked out, like someone had just walked past me, invisible. That night, as I lay in bed upstairs, I heard whispering. From inside the wall, they were saying my name. I tried to sleep with earbuds in, but even blasting music didn't drown out the strange murmurs. It felt like they were crawling through the walls, following me. By the second night, I decided to investigate. I walked the halls with a flashlight, tapping the walls, listening. In the guest bedroom, I noticed a narrow strip of old, peeling wallpaper. I peeled it away slowly. There was a slit in the drywall, like someone had made a cut with a knife. I leaned in, shining the light into the gap, and saw something staring back. 2 pale, gleaming eyes, unblinking. I jumped back, slamming my head against the dresser. When I looked again, it was gone. Had it ever been there? I called my cousin and told him what I saw. He hesitated, then said, "Grandma used to talk to the walls too, remember?" She said, "They never sleep." The next morning, I checked the basement, a place Grandma had always kept locked. I found the key behind an old photo frame. The basement was cold, darker than it should have been. The single bulb flickered as I moved down the stairs. Shelves of jars, dusty books, and old tools lined the walls. Then I noticed something unusual, a square cutout in the back wall, perfectly shaped like a door, but bricked up crudely, spray painted over it in deep red. "Do not open." My breath fogged the air. I backed away slowly. Then I heard it. A knock from behind the bricks. 3 slow knocks. "Help!" a voice whispered. "He's still here!" I turned and ran upstairs, heart pounding, slamming the basement door shut behind me. That night, the knocking came again. But from the wall behind my bed, I woke up to the sound of nails on wood, then the crackling of drywall, scraping, stretching. Something was inside the wall, crawling slowly toward my room. I ran into the hallway, tripping over an old floorboard. I turned to look. A portion of the wall behind me bulged outward. Something was pushing from inside. A hand burst through. Grey, veiny, inhuman. I screamed and fell backward as the wall cracked further. A face peeked out, not human, but twisted, thin, its mouth stretched wider than it should be. I grabbed the lamp and smashed it across the wall. The thing recoiled, letting out a shriek like nails on glass. I ran to the front door, locked, then to the kitchen, all windows sealed. I was trapped, and the walls were waking up. I tore through drawers, hoping to find something, anything, and I did. A leather journal, hidden beneath floorboards in the upstairs closet. It was Grandma's. Her handwriting was shaky, unstable. She wrote of the sleepers, ancient shadows sealed behind the walls by the old ones. She wrote of feeding them her voice, her breath, to keep them calm. But recently, they had grown hungry. "I hear them whispering to the new blood," she wrote. "They want the young." My blood ran cold. I was never meant to clean the house. I was meant to stay, to feed them. The house was alive. The floors pulsed. The walls twisted. Doors slammed shut behind me without warning. I tried calling for help, but my phone had no signal, no apps, no texts, just one flashing message. "Let us in." I grabbed a hammer from the shed and made my way back to the bricked-up door in the basement. They wanted me to open it? Fine. Let's see what you are. I shattered the bricks one by one. Dust clouded the air. Behind them, darkness, and then movement. A figure stepped out, tall, stretched with hollow eyes. It opened its mouth and spoke in Grandma's voice. Finally, I swung the hammer, screaming, and everything went black. I always thought the creepiest thing about the house was the mirrors. They were everywhere, in the hallway, on the ceilings, even across from the front door. My aunt had a strange obsession with them, said they helped reflect bad energy back into the dark. I never really understood that, but when I agreed to house sit for her while she was on vacation in Arizona, I didn't think much of it. Free food, Netflix, and peace from my noisy roommates. The first 2 days were fine. until the third night. Around 1:47 a.m., I woke up to a faint sound, a soft knock, not from the front door, from inside the house. I froze. Then it came again. Knock, knock, knock. 3 slow taps, not loud, not urgent, almost polite. I slipped out of bed, heart pounding. I grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight. I moved quietly through the hallway, passing mirror after mirror. Their reflections made me feel like someone else was always walking right beside me. Then I saw it. The mirror by the guest bathroom. There was a smudge. I leaned in, and that's when I realized it wasn't a smudge. It was a fingerprint from the inside of the mirror. I stumbled backward, knocking over the hallway lamp. My breath caught in my throat. I stared at the mirror again. The fingerprint was gone. "Okay," I muttered. "Okay, you're tired. It's a reflection. Nothing more." I walked back to my room and locked the door. I left the light on this time. Around 3:12 a.m., I heard whispering from the mirror on the closet door. I crept toward it, every part of me screaming not to. Then I heard it. My voice, saying, "Are you sure you're alone?" I backed away slowly. My hand found the doorknob. I turned to run and froze. My reflection didn't move. It stayed standing, grinning wide, while I stumbled back and slammed the door behind me. I called my aunt the next morning. She didn't answer. I left her a voicemail, trying not to sound panicked. I told her about the fingerprint, the voice, the mirror that didn't reflect what I did. A minute later, she texted back, "Do not trust the mirrors." I stared at the message, my blood turning cold. I ran to the hallway and grabbed a blanket, throwing it over the nearest mirror. Then another, and another. The house felt different with the glass covered, like something had been gagged. But when I reached the living room, I stopped dead. The large mirror over the fireplace was uncovered again, and there was something in it. Not me, but something wearing my face, standing still, grinning wider than any human could. I barricaded myself in the laundry room. No mirrors, no reflections, just the hum of the dryer and the ticking of the old wall clock. I thought I was safe, until the washer door creaked open by itself. Inside, something was moving. I dropped to my knees and looked in. It was dark, impossibly dark, and then from the back of the drum, a hand reached out. Pale, long fingers. It pointed at me, then curled in a come closer motion. I screamed and slammed the washer shut. Something giggled. Behind me, in the dryer's reflection, the house was eating itself. Mirrors I had covered were now uncovered. Others had changed. Some no longer reflected anything, just blackness. I heard my aunt's voice through the mirror in her bedroom. "You let it out. You stared too long. It copied you." I begged for help. "Don't look in its eyes," she whispered. "And don't answer when it speaks." The house groaned. The hallway lights went out. And from every mirror came the sound of feet walking. But I wasn't moving. I ran. I grabbed the fireplace poker and shattered the living room mirror. It didn't shatter like glass. It tore like skin, bleeding black. The house screamed. Every mirror began cracking, the reflections inside screaming too, in voices I knew. Mine, my aunt's, even people I didn't recognize. I reached the front door and yanked it open, stumbling onto the porch as glass exploded behind me. I turned once. In the shattered pieces, I saw myself, but I was still inside, smiling and waving goodbye.